Listen, first of all, if you're wanting to have a good day, you got to start it with the Brisk. Second of all, I am going to challenge you, if you will, to find out what you actually care about that we talk on the stream, because I've had a realization, right? Like sitting here trying to think about stuff, open your mind. Why do people care about what's going on within the NFT crypto space, etc.? Well, combination of hope of, the value of whatever you get going up. Gotta love it. But then also the realization that knowing everyone's going to be much more online, and this whole Web3 aspect is just the internet of value. We're so ingrained with everything online. How can people get value from the internet beyond just having enjoyment, a little bit of ease of access for entertainment, connecting with people? I don't know. It makes me smile just a little bit thinking about how crazy things could get, and we are here on the precipice of that. So grab your Brisk, crack it open, and get ready for a good stream, because we got so much we got to go over with. Now, number one on today's agenda, look at this face. Tom Lee, the guy who's going crazy for Ethereum, crazy on the timeline. And this is the default picture when you look at it. Here's him on CNBC.
Hey, Tom, Bitcoin, before we let you go, tell us what you think. We're at about $111,000. The upside, the downside from here?
Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies like Ethereum are super sensitive to monetary policy. So I think that September 17th is an important catalyst. Crypto typically does really well in the fourth quarter. So I think Bitcoin can easily get to 200,000 before year end. I know it's a big move. It's almost a double, but that's also going to be a
double from here. Let's just hold on. Let's just take a quick pause. A double from here. So everybody's listening to this. We're at $111,000, and you think by Christmas time, effectively, we could be at 200,000?
That's right. One of the reasons Bitcoin stalled this year is the Fed's been on pause for 9 months. That pause all year, if you look at an easing cycle, that's only happened 2 other times, in 1998 and 2024, where the Fed began to resume cuts in the fourth quarter in September. Equities do really well. As you know, crypto is beta to equity. So I think it's going to be a very strong fourth quarter. Small caps should also rally, like IWM, but that also is really bullish for Ethereum, which is highly linked to small caps.
I mean, everybody's just screaming about this fourth quarter gonna be monumental. We'll see what ends up happening. Obviously, people could be wrong, but there is your take of the day. Bitcoin, allegedly, or at least in one person's mind, thinking that is going to roughly double by the end of this year. On Pokemon investing, I believe this is a Reddit thread. Yesterday, we went on a huge tangent about everything within crypto, helping to elevate the Pokemon card industry. And here's the title. Pokemon investing has completely ruined the value of money for me. And I'd have to say, as someone within like the crypto NFT space and all that kind of stuff for the past couple of years, I'm in the same boat 100% regarding money, what we consider value from one person to another, the amount of stuff that you've bought and throughout your life that's like, oh, in that moment I kind of wanted that, but then you realize, okay, it's just collecting dust on the shelf, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go into the thought. Has anyone else completely lost the value and point of money because of investing in Pokemon? Around 10 years ago, I started investing in sealed boxes, and fast forward to today, they have outperformed like every single professional hedge fund, manager, index fund, Warren Buffett, etc. Let me read that again. Around 10 years ago, I started investing in sealed boxes. So going to the Walmart, local game store, and buying sealed Pokemon. And fast forward to today, they have outperformed every single professional hedge fund manager, index fund, and Warren Buffett. That's insane. What is the point of buying a rental house or stocks as a normal guy when buying cardboard boxes has and will outperform the professionals by a huge margin. The entire money system feels like a big joke. Money feels like it is nothing anymore, and I'm not sure if these are positive or negative thoughts. Am I the only one? So this is absolutely integral. So we take it at face value and say, all right, one, that person sort of got lucky with that potentially, seeing that ahead of the trend, and you might disagree with said statement. Fundamentally, depending on who you are, you might be somebody who's open to collectibles having value, and you might be somebody that, as we talk about how, there's a lot of people that will never touch anything relating to crypto or NFTs on purpose. There's a lot of people that wouldn't ever see Pokemon as an investment, even though, generally speaking, we're pretty open-minded to that possibility. But the big component of this is when we associate money and value, it's all about these fiat currencies, which yesterday we highlighted again. Somebody went shopping, they bought like 4 or 5 different items, and it was like $80. And it was like, all right, well, our money is kind of like garbage. And then we have Pokemon cards that are absolutely mooning, right? So we're in this imbalance period that I think is integral to pay attention to, because what we've seen in Pokemon, and I think what's going to happen in crypto as well, and we've seen it time and time again, wait and see when that exactly happens, but the repricing of everything. Sure, we have ebbs and flows of things, but for argument's sake, I think we've gone from Pokemon being like fun collectibles to like an asset class in of itself, and we are seeing the complete repricing of that. It'll be fun to watch. Ponz from the Plague. So decentralizing opportunity. Again, the podcast that I did with him, and you can check out the link in the description down below if you're on YouTube or in my bio on X. But I thought this was a very unique shakeup to the typical conversation, because Ponz is really about doing everything for people, and not that the other collections and whatnot aren't trying to benefit, humans as a whole per se, but there was definitely a different perspective, if you will, from that. And so here's a quick clip of him talking about decentralizing opportunity.
Decentralizing opportunity for me, when I first got into crypto was for the money, and won't get into the whole backstory, but once I understood the tech and I saw how NFT communities operated, to me, I saw a big opportunity with creating businesses or mechanisms that utilize the community and microtransactions to decentralize opportunity. And in general, the world tends to drift towards centralization, which in my opinion is a bad thing. And I think the blockchain has the real opportunity to mitigate that drift and also create a more decentralized world, which in itself will just create more opportunity or equalize the opportunity if done correctly. Of course, it could all go terribly wrong too with the blockchain. It can get us to dystopia, but I think that it definitely has some opportunity to do things differently, or to create processes and businesses that do things differently and change people's lives.
Change people's lives. That is what we are hoping for. Now, the next clip that I'm going to play is not from Ponz, but we just dropped a new episode this morning for PlaySolana. So if you guys haven't seen, they've created a phone before. You might have heard of the Solana mobile phone, and then they came out with like a second variant that they're calling the Seeker, and Solana now is getting a Game Boy, essentially, for their crypto games. And I was able to talk with somebody who was a part of the founding team for this, and it is, the device itself looks freaking awesome. And I definitely glazed them way too much for that on the episode itself, but it's like, oh my God. So we have devices that are coming out that are specifically for crypto games. And I maybe made a stupid comment or question during this, and the interview is crazy. Like, I've never had so many questions in a row. Like, you go into it and you prep and you're like, all right, here's roughly like 6 to 7 questions I'm going to ask. We went through a question every 60 seconds. So it was like 30 questions. And I'm like sitting there on the fly, like, okay, think about this, try to pay attention to what they're saying. And then my mind was starting to go to, well, is this sort of like the PlayStation versus Xbox conversation? And then after I like made the question, I'm like, you would need like another competitor for me to like make that comment, because it's just like play Solana. We don't have, play Abstract, play Root Network, play immutable play. Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like, duh, what an idiot. But with that being said, there was a question that I asked that I thought was very interesting. And when we talk about the partnerships and the bigger names and why people are wanting to get associated with certain things, which we'll talk about Doodles here in Uno Momento, but they had a specific Pudgy Penguin device. I don't know if it's still okay. Yeah, it is. So it's like a literal branded Pudgy Penguin Game Boy-esque PlaySolana device. And I asked them, how important was that? What did it change from getting into that partnership with them? Well, I mean, the other great starting point is you guys kind of have a little bit of name recognition from the fact that you're having this limited edition Pudgy Penguin branded device that's launched. Obviously, you probably can't go through all the details, but how did that collab come about? Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? Did it have anything to do with Pengu, or just the aspect that it's the Pudgy Penguins brand? Because obviously the Pengu token did launch on Solana, so the only reason I mentioned it.
Yeah, the Pudgy Penguin team reached out to us around 3 months ago, and we've been back and forth about how we should launch this. So we are the official gaming device for Pudgy Penguins. And in terms of Pengu, we offered a percentage of the sales to go towards buying and burning Pengu every time there is a sale.
And how do you think that other teams are going to? So they're burning a token for any device that they end up selling. So inherently, you buy the device, and it also potentially helps out with whatever you are holding, and whatever you're holding, I mean, the Pengu token, if you're holding that. It's a very unique proposition. I'm curious what other devices and people try to go down that path as well, because it's very unique. Breaking: Solana DeFi total value locked hits new all-time high. Everything getting tokenized, everybody putting stuff on chain. Very good to see, but also very interesting that we've had such ebbs and flows with this, and I think that it's a good sign that that is going straight up and to the right in terms of the chart. Doodles having another massive collab. We've seen them do things with Crocs. We've seen them do things with G-Shock, the very notable watch company, and now they are doing a partnership with Froot Loops, which is kind of neat. So the cereal brand you're probably very familiar with, and all the box stores out there, maybe had it a lot as a kid. And they're getting the Web3 touch. Kind of cool. So yesterday, and this is going to be a little bit sporadic, we had the SOS, don't do any transactions. Turns out that was maybe like a PR play. I shouldn't say a PR play, but people memed on it so hard after the initial warnings went out from everyone. And I do have to say, I think if we're going to look at one thing throughout the crypto market that has been wonderful, is that everybody takes security very meaningfully. Everyone looks out for each other. Yesterday, you probably scrolled your timeline, and everyone that you follow that is like, try to converses often or puts takes on the timeline was sharing the security reminders. Every Discord was out there pinging it. It was awesome to see. And so just a reminder, there was a lot of very good people in crypto. Now, with this said, I think right before that announcement went out, there was this. So according to ZachXBT, European crypto exchange SwissBorg was exploited a few hours ago for 192,000 SOL, which was $41 million US worth. Holy smokes. But so one of my things is like, I'm seeing this scrolling across the timeline, as well as everybody saying, don't make any transactions. So I just assumed that this was a part of that hack, but it seemed like it was just inopportune timing that this happened the same time the other component happened, and we will get into the rest of the debacle and the Ledger CTO coming to the timeline to explain things. We got to talk security again. JP saying, I finally tracked down the source of the attack. Friends hacked Telegram account with a Zoom link. Note, this is the official Zoom link, and I joined in the browser. I literally saw a deep fake of my friend, but couldn't hear anything, so dropped off and tried on Google Meets. And saying, in 2 minutes on being on an official Zoom link, they had downloaded a malicious script to my computer and begun copying my entire iCloud documents folder to probably upload. Do not use Zoom. Now, hold on a second. Because within the comments, and at first I was like, oh my God, this is super bad. It's a little bit misleading. So you can see on the message history within the screenshot, do you notice right where I'm next to where I'm pointing? You see how it says edited? See how it says edited? They had a scam link initially, but then swapped it for a real one after to make it seem that it was legit. And this person was going out saying, oh, this is an official link. So it's not that Zoom's compromised. It's the fact that this individual was very good at hiding what it was. And I've heard the most ridiculous stories around like hiring practices and these situations happening every single day. Like the trust across people is diminishing ever so quickly. It really is. The Scoop. Christies is shuttering its digital art department. Multiple staffers have been let go, including VP of Digital Art, Nicole Sales-Gills. Nicole Sales-Gills. Yeah, that's a crazy name if they were in sales or something, like just straight up. That's nuts. It's a major shift for the auction house that sparked the NFT boom in 2021 with Beeple's $69 million sale. So why is this important? Well, first of all, everybody goes back and brings up the Beeple sale. Now, if you watch the documentary of him, and I don't know if it's like a documentary, but you can find clips of Beeple. I think he's with family and friends, and they're watching the auction. And I want to say that it's like several $1 million, and then all of a sudden, just a ridiculous bid comes in super late. And this is part of the reason that people associate NFTs with having a big boom, because something from Beeple went for such a high price point. Now, there's a couple of other things where the likes of Gary Vaynerchuk was out there, and it's well documented that he reached out to like Mr. Beast, Logan Paul, and a whole bunch of very notable and wealthy celebrities and said, guys, I think these digital assets, NFTs, are going to boom. Go buy CryptoPunks. And that was one of the big run-ups on CryptoPunks, was from that exact happening. And so to see Christies now no longer want to do anything within the digital front, what's the rationale for that? Is it that people aren't buying on the same wavelength, right? Like I believe it was these guys, maybe it was somebody different, but there was an auction at one point where there was, I want to say like 30 plus Bored Apes. They're like, how many people out there right now are going to want to buy that significant of a quantity right now through an auction that takes 20 to 30% in fees? So is this something to do with more of the NFT side of things and people recognizing, hey, traditional auction houses aren't it because of that? And people just aren't buying because you can find other people that aren't going to rinse you on fees? Or is it the fact that Christie's is just saying, hey, there's not that many people going for more expensive digital art in this case, which would be a very interesting take because we keep saying and hearing all these things of, oh my goodness, we're going higher. OpenSea unveiling their flagship collection. We got Christie's stopping and halting their Web3 variants. Well, we got OpenSea doubling down. A $1 million plus cultural reserve committed to acquiring, curating, and celebrating digital art and culture. Our first piece, CryptoPunk 5273. So they went out, they acquired a CryptoPunk. Do we say this is similar to the NFT treasuries of other companies? Because we look at things a little bit different within the Web3 side of things, but that's kind of cool. More to come. The flagship collection is growing, says Blocks. Congrats to those who have contributed. So as soon as OpenSea came out with that, with that collection of a single CryptoPunk, what happened is everybody just started sending the wallet for OpenSea with whatever NFTs they wanted to like promote. So people would inherently go to that page, see what OpenSea's official collection looks like, and maybe say, oh, okay, you have this collection in there, let me go ahead and buy it. Now, if you go and look on the OpenSea page, somebody posted a screenshot of it earlier. It was just, I think there's 2 NFTs now. We'll get to the other one in a second, but there's 2 NFTs that are in that wallet. So either OpenSea by default has it where anything that's sent to that wallet that isn't bought is hidden automatically, or there's somebody that's sitting there 24/7 and just clicking hide anytime something comes on the wallet. Can you imagine your job is working for OpenSea and just hiding NFTs that come in from people? That's crazy. So Solana Mobile, we talked about it very briefly earlier, and I noticed this come on the timeline because I got a Discord ping that this happened, and all of the reactions were like down votes, clown faces, laughing. It's pretty brutal. Because for the original Solana phone, there was a ton of different crypto airdrops and people found value within it. And so maybe it's a little bit different looking at it, but let's go through this. This is from Moonwalk Fitness. Seeker season starts now, which is the name for the second Solana mobile phone. As a Solana mobile launch partner, Moonwalk is offering a 20% boost in fitness XP to all Seeker owners. Join Moonwalk Games and hit your daily step goals consistently to climb the ranks faster, earning better health and access to upcoming rewards games. I feel like they misspelled that last part of it, but that's okay. Do you think that you would go and walk more if you got paid in some sort of crypto for that? Like, genuinely, do you think you'd do that? If I can have a moment of your time, which I've already done, I'd like to offer this video and say, maybe timestamp this, maybe write it down, because this is absolutely profound. And if you can remember it, I think it will potentially change your life. And I'm not even kidding, because I've thought about this like since I saw it for the first time yesterday on the timeline. And the caption on this guy literally explained how some people never feel lazy and how to copy them in 2 minutes.
What if laziness is a habit of thinking about the cost of things or the effort instead of thinking about the payoff? I'm going to say it again to get a few more heads to explode. What if laziness is nothing but a habit of thinking about the effort instead of thinking about the outcome? What if you could reverse laziness by simply developing a habit of thinking more about the, let's say, the delicious food that you would like to enjoy instead of how long it would take you to get up and go get it? So, but the real question is, if you were to test this at home and try to see if you can think more about the good outcome and less about the work, would you get it done? Why is it that people have a second child? You know, why does a woman who goes through this awful, awful childbirth have a second child? Don't they always say the same thing? If I remembered how bad this was, I wouldn't do it again. Right? So the not thinking about the effort is vital to actually the survival of humanity. If we focused on how hard it was to have a baby, you just wouldn't do it, or you do too little of it.
So there's another like minute with that, but I just think the swapping of think of like the reward versus the effort, absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so here's a personal update. So I've been posting clips from my daily live streams. Let me play this again. So I've been posting clips from my daily live streams, and I did a clip talking about the least expensive hot dog at an NFL stadium, and it is quintupled any video I've ever posted before. True. So take a look at this. We've been uploading a bunch of different shorts, and so the video in question was actually over on TikTok. It got like 6,000 views in like under 8 hours. Never had that happen before. It was crazy, but it was the cheapest NFL stadium hot dog. The average is $7.02 across the league, but in the bottom, drum roll please, the Cleveland Browns at $3.41, and the absolute low of the low. The Walking Dead was apparently filmed in Atlanta, and they got the cheapest hot dogs at the stadium. It's the Atlanta Falcons. Bang, bang, bang. What a clip. Just talking about hot dogs are good. This Caitlin Clark NFT just sold for $175. When Top Shot has gotten hot, it's on the timeline a lot. But what I've noticed is I don't see that much talk about NBA Top Shot lately, but I've been seeing a ridiculous amount of Panini's official NFTs. And it's just, I don't know, it's very interesting that we're seeing like such massive sales from that platform when I don't think anything has necessarily happened. Now, in this case, this is a one of one. People could speculate, but I'm also trying to think of like what person is going to feel that comfortable right now bringing $200,000 on chain. Now, is this just an individual that's a whale? Is it maybe Caitlin herself? I mean, like, what do we look at here and say, all right, this makes sense? And maybe it's like the first moment within this platform and you have the association of somebody's going to pay a lot more from that. But I mean, if you're buying that for $175,000, what are you hoping to get for? Let's say $200,000. Okay, so you're trying to get like what, like a $20,000 profit? Which I mean, hell yeah, that's great. But how many other people are coming through and spending that much money right now on sports collectibles that are NFTs? See, this is where you got to do the research and look up other cards and see comparable comps and try to keep kind of going from that front. Well, we can kind of do something similar, a little bit different. Over on Courtyard, there was a Shining Gyarados card, and this is a first edition. It's a Gem Mint 10, okay? And it's sold for $19,000. So I was like, okay, let's try to do a little bit of research and look up what this is. So for an ungraded Shining Gyarados, it's $860, and then it works its way up from a grade of 7. You get about $1,000 for it, all the way up to, if you get a PSA 10, the price is roughly $15,700. So somebody paid like $4,000 more to get it through here. Now, the ease of blockchain, everything else, maybe that's a part of it, but very interesting that we have something that's going for that much more as a tokenized digital collectible versus going to a card show. So I want to make a plea. I don't know how many of you are involved within acquiring IP, probably not many, but if you're out there and you're doing that, you gotta get Dragonlance. Listen, this is an old, like, Dungeons and Dragons IP that was created. I only actually know about it because one, I read the first book, Dragons of Autumn Twilight, but then it was also an animation. So if you're somebody that's got anybody within your family that's interested in like medieval times, the RuneScape, the Guild Wars, the World of Warcraft, this is like an hour and a bit animation. They will absolutely love this. It's an older one that's been uploaded on YouTube. So it's completely free to watch. If you're into any of the stuff that I mentioned, it's one of my favorite movies. Might not be your cup of tea, but there might be a couple of you that watch that and are like, all right, that was a good recommendation. Love it. Here's the update from the Ledger CTO, the Chief Technical Officer. Update on the NPM attack. The attack fortunately failed with almost no victims. So to reiterate, yesterday, the world was on fire in crypto, thinking that everything was over. We're not able to make any transactions, and it was a scare. Okay? And now we're saying that the attack failed and there was no victims. Seems sort of odd for the amount of uproar it had. It began with a phishing email from a fake NPM support domain that stole credentials and gave attackers access to public malicious package updates. The injected code targeted web crypto activity, hooking into Ethereum, Solana, and other chains to hijack transactions and replacing wallet addresses directly in network responses. The attackers' mistakes caused crashes in CI and CD pipelines. I also don't know what like half of this means, by the way, but we're reading it anyway, which led to early detection and limited impact. Still, this is a clear reminder. If your funds sit in a software wallet or on an exchange, you're one code execution away from losing everything. Supply chain compromises remain a powerful malware delivery vector, and we're also seeing more targeted attacks emerge. Hardware wallets are built to withstand these threats. Features like clear signing let you confirm exactly what's happening, and transaction checks flag suspicious activity before it's too late. The immediate danger may have passed, but the threat hasn't. Stay safe. Now, I don't know if it needs to be said, and maybe this is like a negative connotation as somebody who always says, hey, security, security, security. Here's a reminder every single stream. But it is funny that we have such panic, and they're like, from the get-go, hey, hardware wallets, as long as you have one, you're pretty much good to go. From the guy who sells hardware wallets, and everybody and their child is freaking out on the timeline. And you just know there's a lot of people that went out and potentially bought hardware wallets for the first time, and you know, where they probably get it from. So is it a PR stunt? I don't necessarily think so, but I've seen takes of that on the timeline because it's really weird. I don't know how you have such a big deal that ends up being basically a nothing burger, and people have showed screenshots that like $60 total was compromised. Like, what? Jared saying this sale is a big reason I believe NBA Top Shot should get the Genesis one-of-ones into the hands of collectors. Not sure what it looks like, but in my opinion, it's a no-brainer from a business and legacy standpoint. So Panini, they had that Caitlin Clark card, the one-of-one that sold for $175,000. Well, here's Daniel Jones, a 1 of 1. Back when he was with the New York Giants, it sold for $10,000 or 2.32 ETH. Okay, that's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. But where the hell did the hype from Panini come around? I feel like I've been sleeping at the wheel or something. And I did post a YouTube short about it like a month ago or something, where Panini said we are going to make our NFTs EVM compatible, so it doesn't have to just be on like the Panini blockchain, which is very, very cool. But I didn't realize how much of a spurn that would cause in a good way. CyberKong is just a reminder, tomorrow, 1 p.m. UTC, which I think is 8 p.m. No. That's totally wrong. I don't know. At some point tomorrow, the CyberKongs Kong token generating event is happening. Reminder, if you go check out their page, you'll be able to see if you're eligible. If you know off the top of your head, if you spent $10,000 in 2023 on NFTs, you're good to go. In OpenSea, they're adding another NFT to their flagship collection. It's, of course, a Pudgy Penguin. So they got 2 NFTs for this $1 million fund. A Pudgy Penguin and a CryptoPunk. Now, what's different between OpenSea and other notable collectors, individuals within the space? We've seen people go and buy collections. Gordon Goner, founder of Bored Ape Yacht Club, when he went out and bought a couple different ones, people went and swept whatever collection he bought. Back in the day, Gary V, whenever he bought an NFT, people followed that wall and then just absolutely full sent collections. But OpenSea is going and buying these NFTs. We have other funds that are going out and buying certain NFTs. But individuals doing things or happenings of any sort just don't really move the market at all compared to what it once did. And that's something to take note of. Seeing how crazy it was before to now you just see announcements and you're like, okay, that's cool. What's new? What's next? So Disney Pinnacle airdropped rewards to collectors who participated in last week's trading event, and it paid off big time. So Disney Pinnacle, as we've talked about, a platform that is just doing tokenized pins. No physical, just different characters of your favorite movies from Disney. So they did a trading event, and they can say, hey, we can just give people rewards at a snap of a finger. Participants were rewarded random pins from held back supply based on how many people they traded with. My reward for having fun trading with other collectors, a Chirrut Imwe DD worth $1,000. Only 94 of these are around. What a great way to start the week. Now, obviously, the fact that it's $1,000 is going to make anybody be like, woo, we love it, right? But think of the value that's created for them for just keeping things back. What does it cost them to do this? Obviously, you have the artist that has to put it together, you know, the engineer and whatnot. But you could sell millions of these, and you're just having the time of your life because you're raking in the dough. People are enjoying it, and communities are getting built around it. And that's why every brand is going to want to come on to crypto rails. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for coming on through. Do want to give one plug one more time. If you're wanting to see or hear, the PlaySolana podcast, links in the description down below. And of course, we're uploading a whole bunch of shorts. If you guys are wanting to check those out on YouTube or on TikTok, I'll have the info here in a momentaro if you want to follow me on there. But thank you so much. Appreciate the likes, comments, shares, and everything else. I'll see you guys tomorrow.